I'm going to talk to you about something we do in our relationships, and that is called bargaining. We use bargaining in two ways. The first one is when we negotiate terms of a relationship. We have pros and cons about it. We give up some things, we get some things, we sometimes accept things we don't like. Sometimes we get less of something or more of something than we really want. And it's okay as long as it's healthy and we're not giving up too much of ourselves in the relationship. The other time that we bargain is when we have gone through a loss and we are working through the grief cycle. The grief cycle has 5 stages. There's first denial and shock, where we're just still even trying to come to terms with the fact that it's happened or that it's real. The next is anger, and that's feeling anger at ourselves, God, and other people for what they did or they didn't do. And then the bargaining is, I look at it as part of the first one, which is still trying to come to terms with the reality of the situation. And that is, we try to figure out what could have prevented it from happening. So we do kind of this if then. If only I had never met this person, then I would not be dealing with this breakup. I would not be dealing with this painful, thing where I just found out that the person has been stealing from me or the person is having an affair. Or we say, what if I had noticed the red flag sooner? Or what if I hadn't left the house at 2:15? What if I had left at 2:16 or 2:14? Then I would not have been at that intersection at exactly that time where that accident occurred. And you either lost the life of somebody in the other car or injured them or maybe hurt somebody in your car. So you would be trying to figure out, how could this have been prevented? Sometimes we look at what other people have done and we said, if only this person wouldn't have done this, if only this person wouldn't have met this person that they had an affair with, if only this person would have made a different choice, if only this person would have made a different or gotten a different job or not asked me to move to this state. And then sometimes we get mad at God. Like, why didn't God intervene? Why didn't God keep this from happening? Why didn't God heal my child? Why didn't God heal me? Why did God allow this accident to happen? So we work through each of these scenarios painstakingly, sometimes back and forth in between one and then the other, and back, forward. And basically the whole time, our mind consciously and unconsciously is trying to figure out, how could I fix this so that it never would have happened, so that I wouldn't have to go through the next stage, which is to admit that this really hurts, and this is really sad, and this is really a huge loss in my life. The final stage that we go to is acceptance. And acceptance means we come to terms with, it is what it is. Now what? Now what do I do in light of the fact that I have accepted that this actually happened? So the bargaining serves a purpose as we go from shock to the other side, which is acceptance of something that happened. So when you're going through a grief process, when you've gone through a loss, be aware of those 5 stages and that one of them is bargaining. And when you hear yourself or observe yourself asking yourself these questions, allow yourself to go through it, even to ask God where God was. Why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you help me? Why didn't you intervene? Why didn't you change this person? Why did you let me meet this person when you knew it was going to turn out this way and be so painful? Ask God those questions. Work through them, because you need to. You need to get to the other side, which is acceptance, which is really healthy. And remember, in your relationships, when you're bargaining and you're trying to come to terms with or come to an agreement on the terms of the relationship, or you're trying to decide what are you willing to tolerate and what are you not willing to tolerate, make sure that you don't give up too much and that you don't lose yourself in the process. So I wanted to ask you, what trade-offs have you made in your relationships? Are they worth it? Be aware of it, the trade-offs that you're making. And recognize when you're grieving that loss. And like I said, allow yourself to go through that bargaining stage. Proverbs 23:23 says, buy the truth and do not sell it. Wisdom, instruction, and insight as well. You want to be aware of what it is that you're doing and why. Exodus 14:10 through 14. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified, and they cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, why was it that you didn't leave us in Egypt? Weren't there enough graves there that you had to bring us out to the desert to die? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. Moses answered the people, do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. The Egyptians, or the Israelites, were bargaining. When they had their backs up against the Red Sea, which was where they were in this part of scripture, and the Egyptian army was coming toward them, and they saw no way out, and they thought they were going to die, they began to bargain. Moses, why'd you bring us here? God, why'd you bring us here? Isn't there any other way we could not be in this situation? Pretty normal to do when you have your backed up against the wall, or you're about ready to go through a big loss, or you have. So I just want to thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship, and I hope that this has helped you to learn more about how you bargain in your relationships.